And go. My name is Burlager. I am the head roaster and production lead at Sunergos Coffee, and today I'm going to talk to you about roasting. Coffee starts off as green, moisture-dense seeds, and as it's roasted, it lets off a lot of moisture, free moisture, and the outside of the seed gets harder and harder, entrapping that moisture until first and second crack. And at first crack, the coffee seed opens up and releases all of that water and moisture that changed forms into steam and lets it off. And so that's the beginning of first crack, and then second crack is where the outside of the seed begins to fracture and rupture, and the oil starts beginning to be pushed out of the seed. Little known fact is that coffee is very similar to popcorn, and that's why some home roasters use popcorn poppers to roast their coffee. As popcorn gets warm and cooks, the outside of the kernel gets harder and harder, entrapping the moisture until it kind of explodes into the fluffy goodness. Similarly, coffee operates the same way. As the seed gets harder, it gets stronger and entraps the water inside until first crack, when it pops open. Roast levels are how far into the roasting you are going, and this is determined by temperature only. And so lighter roast drop at a lower temperature, darker roast drop at a higher temperature. And so each one of those is determined not by the length of the cooking, but the temperature, the end temperature, the temperature of the seed when it drops out of the machine. So different roast levels are light, medium, dark. Also, they could be referred to as half city, city plus, full city plus. Those would be other kinds of more objective ways of telling what a roast level is, but more on the subjective level or consumer level, light, medium, and dark. So I think it's a matter of trial and error. So as you're roasting the coffee, you're getting more and more familiar with the nuances. I think you start off with kind of a blueprint based on origin, based on varietal, and from there you can kind of determine what kind and seed size. So larger seeds require a little bit more time. You don't want to roast them as fast. Smaller seeds are smaller, they're going to take on heat real quick. So those can be shorter. So depending on what the coffee seed, how it presents itself, that will be the first identifying of what the profile will look like. And then from there, as you taste, cleaning up nuances in the cup to ultimately have no defects or no negative attributes, and just bringing out the most positive attributes of the coffee for everyone to enjoy. So some of the difficulties roasting are that coffee is an agricultural product that is changing based on even from plant to plant, from season to season. How it's stored and how it's cared for are all going to affect its flavor. And so I think as a roaster, being able to adapt with the coffee as it's progressively changing and changing with it and doing what's best with what's taking place. So a coffee from last year, the same coffee this year will be different than what you tasted last year, because coffee is subjected to its environment, the weather, the climate, and so yeah, not holding anything too tightly and being able to adapt with the coffee. Okay, so Sunergos uses both terms on the website to kind of guide the consumer into making a choice. City, city plus, things like that, those are more objective based on temperature, but kind of giving our dynamics. what we would say is light, medium, or dark. We also put that on there as kind of like our understanding of the coffee. Okay, different examples of roast levels would be that our Colombia, Costa Rica, Guatemala are medium. Our seasonals are generally light. So that would mean your Ethiopias, your Guatemala, Islama, and dark roast would be Sunergos blend that we also use for espresso. And then in between medium and dark would be Brazil, Blend B, Tanzanian peaberry, and yeah, I think that's it. My favorite coffees at Sunergos right now for foundational would be the Colombia San Antonio, and for seasonal it would be the Guatemala Islama. I think that the Guatemala Islama is bright and clean. I think it's a really easy coffee to drink again and again and again, and that's one of the reasons why I like it. The same goes for the Colombia San Antonio. I think that the consumer who's buying San Antonio is really getting a seasonal level coffee every day, and I think it's a real treasure, and I think it's one of those coffees that, again, you can drink as your first cup, and you can also drink as your last cup of the day.